Good evening. Welcome to the Wyndham-Raymond School District Board of Directors meeting. It is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. The time is 6:30 p.m. and we are in the Wyndham High School auditorium. May I have a roll call, please?
Christina Small.
Here.
Jessica Bridges. Jenny Butler.
Here.
Jody Carroll.
Here.
Caitlin Downs.
Present.
Marge Gavoni.
Here.
Joe Kellner.
I'm here.
Shar Jewell.
Here.
Mike McClellan.
Here.
Lillian Nugent.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
We don't have any adjustments to the agenda tonight.
Okay. Item 5 is public comment, but seeing no public, we will move on to superintendent's report.
Sure. So thank you. And first of all, just want to welcome everybody back from a well-deserved break, and hope everyone had a wonderful holiday and time at home with their families. Personally, it was nice to be able to spend some time at home and do some extended deep cleaning in our garage and our basement, and to be able to clean things out. But having a chance this last couple days to connect with staff and just hear, I think everyone was ready for a break, and especially after the storm that we had just before the holiday, it was a good chance for everyone to be home for a little bit. A couple things that I just want to share quickly for superintendent's report is that the storm actually pushed us back a little bit with the administrative team with budget work. We lost, I think, 6 budget meetings between the Monday where we had loss of power and then losing school on Tuesday. We will have all those meetings made up by the end of work on Friday. A-team will have their first run through with the overall budget on Tuesday, and then we'll be working through the month of January in preparation for a board workshop first week of February to give you a kind of a hint at where we are with the budget, where numbers are falling, and tonight, even in executive session, the board's going to have a chance to hear upcoming negotiations and impact of the budget that might possibly have. Christine and I had the chance today to go to Manchester Market Day, and I know Raymond Elementary had a similar market day, I want to say probably September, October, and it was an outstanding day of entrepreneurial business work by our students, the excitement, the energy of kids selling wares that they had created personally on their own and being able to share their business model. Had this great kid that I spent quite a bit of time with, and he was showing me his price structure and how he arrived at all the different pricing to make sure that he was earning a profit. I did feel a little bad for some of our students who created holiday-themed items, and this is one of those things that had to get pushed back. So it was funny, a couple of kids said, well, now I got to put my things on clearance because we're past the holidays. Kids had a great sense of humor with it. We had a great family turnout today for it, and it was just a great way to see our kids and some of the fun that they were having, and just learning how to run a business, what that's all about, and then learning the money skills behind it to make it happen. As soon as we were all leaving for the day, they were then going to go and start buying from each other. So I did not get a chance to see that, but great job by the Manchester staff putting that on. It was just a lot of fun today. Then also just something that happened this afternoon. We had a fire alarm at Jordan Small Middle School right at dismissal, which is probably the absolute worst time that you can have a fire alarm that you're trying to process, get kids out of the building to go home for the day, but yet the alarm's going off and evacuating everyone. That was traced back to a smoke detector sensor in one of the classrooms down in the far 5th grade wing. And board members who've been around for a while may know that that project, upgrading that fire alarm system, was actually part of our revolving renovation funds. It's a fairly new smoke head. And it's a fairly new fire alarm system. And the biggest difference with this system as compared to the old one is that, first of all, in the old system, if one of the smoke detectors went off, nobody knew where it was. So the new system is actually a identifiable system. When the fire department came today, they're able to say that C whatever for the number. We're able to go to that head, check it out. The other thing, which is a new learning piece for Jordan Small, is that the new fire alarm system has voice evacuation, which is now commonplace in public buildings, and staff and students were not used to hearing a voice telling them that they needed to evacuate. And so that was a new learning piece. It's a brand new system that we're now getting online, and talking to Ms. Brand, that's something they're going to work into their drills. So it's so new they even had a chance to do a fire drill with it. But kids did great. A little bit of work trying to get the buses on time and kids home with their stuff. But just want to thank the Manchester, because that was the market day, the Jordan Small staff for their work in making that happen. Also, my normal sidekick over here, Lillian, is out sick tonight. But she did send along some update that she wanted to give on behalf of the students. So first of all, Wyndham High School National Honor Society is working on its annual coat drive. People can stop and drop off clothing items in boxes and places around the school. Any members of the public are interested in dropping off coats for kids, specifically for high school kids, because this goes into their sharing closet, that they can go ahead and drop them off at the high school main office. Key Club members collaborated with the famous Polar Express in downtown Portland. Over 30 members of the team read stories for kids and made families hot chocolate. I don't know if they sang the famous hot chocolate song from Polar Express, but great way for the kids to get out and volunteer with that. Yesterday, the Wyndham basketball team won their game against Cheverus, making the team undefeated this season. And lastly, Lillian wanted to share that before the break, new band and orchestra teacher, Mr. Roussel, conducted his first concert in which students played beautifully. A big congrats to him. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope to see you soon. This is from Lillian. Okay, and that is it.
Thank you. Next up is board roundtable. Anyone have anything they'd like to share? Go ahead, Jenny.
I have two things. Coming up, the middle school is putting on Seussical Junior, and it will be 2 weekends. The first, it starts on January 12th. Friday, Saturday, they're doing shows at 7 o'clock. Saturday, Sunday, they're doing shows at 2 o'clock. So for 2 weekends, I'm sure that's going to be fabulous. I'm definitely going to be watching that, and it'll be right here. And the second, a little bit changed from our previous committee report. So this is an adult ed advisory update. We are going to be meeting tomorrow, January 4th, from 6 to 7. We're going to be talking about or learning about fall enrollments, revenue, the budget for fiscal year 25, and possible teacher salary raise. And I'll give the board an update afterward next time we meet.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Char.
So I wanted to take a moment to recognize someone that probably has touched thousands, well, hundreds, thousands, maybe, thousands of lives in our community of Raymond and Wyndham over the years. And I learned just before Christmas break that Debbie Duchesne, who is a bus driver in Raymond, was retiring. And I was very happy to hear that she was retiring and that she can not be having to deal with kids all the time, every day. But I was also sad. She was driving bus when I was in school, which, please don't do the math, but was over 33 years ago. And she was bus driver for my daughter, who's now in high school. And she was someone who you learned very quickly you did not mess around with, but everybody loved her at the same time. And she will be greatly missed. And I wanted to publicly thank her for everything she's done for kids over the years, everything she's done for parents in our community, that we always knew that she had our kids in her best interest, in their best interest, and that she took care of them while they were on her bus. Last fall, we had an altercation where someone actually hit the stop arm of the bus. And so I did get a chance to catch up with her because I was right there when it happened. And so I'm thankful, not thankful the bus got hit, but I'm thankful that I had an opportunity to catch up with her after all these years. And so again, Debbie, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done over the years.
Anyone else? All right, we can move on to committee reports. Finance?
So next finance meeting is January 17th at 5:15, right before our next meeting. We're going to be covering the budget process for new finance and board members, so they get an idea of how it all works this spring, and also go over the final audit.
Facilities?
Facilities met on December 14th. But before I go through that, I'd like to give everybody a reminder that the full minutes of all of the facility, finance, curriculum, and policy meetings are on our website. You go on board, and under that, it'd be the subcommittees. Also, you can see any updates on the new middle school there. Just so when we meet, we give what we have, but we don't go into all the details. So going back to the facilities meeting on December 14th, Bill Hansen was there, our facilities director. He talked about the well work at RES, and the new well has 0 PFAS, which is great, but it does contain radon, and as a result, he investigated 4 solutions to remove the radon from the water. Lowry Systems of Westbrook, Maine is selected to supply the system. Bill explained that the steps are being taken to address this issue, which will cost approximately $150,000 local cost and $50,000 state funded. Now, the solution is expected to have long-standing positive results, but until this project is completed, the school will remain on bottled water for drinking and preparing food. We don't expect this to happen all that quick. I think it was it towards the end of school, Chris, if I remember correctly? I didn't make note of that.
No, the hope was actually to get it in before April break.
April,
Over
was
this
April.
past break, the hole boring, and if you think about it, for radon system, you have to exit through the roof. So they
Yeah.
had to bore through 3 floors, find the proper roof spot, and make sure obviously everything's lined up. So that was done over break.
Good.
And then they'll be working on getting the actual equipment in, built, and then through the roof.
So, sad to say, but we're going to be on bottled water for a little bit longer there. Also at RES, he spoke about the electrical upgrade in the HVAC. We are shifting there from single phase to 3-phase power, which will give him the ability to run the cooling systems. The design for the HVAC upgrade is about 80% complete at this point. He hopes to have a bid out by late April, and we'll see what would go from there. Next was the Manchester project update. Bill Hansen reviewed a color diagram which indicated each phase of the Manchester Elementary School project. Phase 2 will begin during the summer of 2024. This will include the parking areas in the front of the school, the sidewalk, the bus lane, and the pavement to the south side of the building. A 16 by 32 storage building will also be built to serve the needs of equipment, building storage, and the gardening efforts on site. I know this is, it's not very becoming in there at the moment, but it is going to take a while, and it's probably going to be a couple of years before it looks more like people would like to see it. Next, again, he spoke of financial challenges. Looking ahead, when Bill went over what's going to happen in the facilities department, fiscal year 2025, there is a facilities budget challenge, and he gave us the details on it. Overall, Bill expects a potential budget increase of $200,000, and this is due to additional fields at the Manchester School and also what's going to be happening at the new middle school. So it's going to take more people to do what's being presently done now in more areas. The last item he had there was the Pope Road appraisal. We had discussed this before, and the property on Pope Road is still under review. It was appraised, and so that's still pending as to what's going to happen there. And the last item on our agenda was the middle school construction update. And I don't know if you have anything on that, Chris, because I know you did have a DEP meeting.
Yep, so a couple things to add to that. A lot of things have happened recently, right before vacation, Dwight Anderson from Stantec, Bill and I met with Wyndham Planning Department. So we're starting to work through the process of going through the planning board, meeting with the town engineer, the head of code enforcement, road engineer, making sure that they have all the information. So that happened on Tuesday night, actually before break. On Thursday night, we had a DEP hearing here to go over the new site with adjacent land abutters. And so we took the notes from that. No surprises for issues that were brought up at that evening. Good discussion, and we actually have some follow-up meetings with one of the landowners who will be directly adjacent to that property. The DEP permit will be submitted tomorrow, and that is a 180-day process in order to get a permit back. We are now scheduled to meet with the Wyndham Planning Board on January 22nd for an initial meeting to have them look at the overall plans. And then we're meeting with DOE Friday afternoon just to do a project update to let them go. So it's at this point, we're hoping to go out to bid in April on the site and go out to bid on the whole building sometime in the fall. And then we'll have final prices that are in.
Great, thank you, that's it.
Policy?
So we tried our hardest to meet on December 18th. We had a bit of a shorter meeting than we thought we would. Policy is now just for the full team. Joe's on policy, myself, Christina, and Mike. Right, that's all of us. And I want to thank Jess for her work there. And we continued to work on JICK, and we also we wanted to have the administrators speak into that. So with Chris and Christine there, we wanted to make sure, even though we were able to go through and compare it for legal integrity, that we had the ability to have them speak into the practicality of the policy. So we got started on that, and then we were interrupted by some of the weather events. So we'll continue that work. And I just wanted to at least give the full board an update that we have, and I said this last meeting, but IJJC and L has been submitted for legal review, and that feedback we'll evaluate at our next meeting on January the 8th. And then lastly, for policy, just looking forward to planning for this year. It seems as though a lot of our conversations, workshops, talk about policies, whether we're speaking with teachers or administrators, or in our conversations, revisiting policies is something that we want to continue to do, but we have to do them on a priority basis. So we did create a priority list, and we have a list of 34 for this year. Go team. And so in the spirit of Kate Bricks, I'll say policy works hardest out of everyone on the team. And we'll continue to do that good work. Those policies on a priority list, those 34 policies are primarily around behavior and need to be updated because some of them are out of date, but then some of them go in blocks together. So we'll continue that work on January the 8th. And as Marge said, the website does have a current agenda, ways to reach out to the policy team, as well as our dates and times and where we meet if anyone from the public wants to join those or anyone else from the team. That's all I had for policy.
Thank you. Curriculum?
Curriculum. Our next curriculum meeting is Tuesday, January 9th from 5 to 6:30. And on the agenda includes Title I and tech integration. And as been said already, all of the dates and minutes for all of the curriculum meetings are on the school website, district website. What you can do is go to the district website, go under department, find curriculum and instruction, and it has the schedule with all of the meeting dates and the minutes attached to that. So at our next meeting, I'll give you an update at what happened on our January 9th meeting.
Okay, moving on to report of the secretary. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion we accept the minutes of the December 6th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment on the motion? Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next up is auditor's report.
So it's my pleasure to welcome Ron Smith from RHR Smith, who is our auditing firm for RSU 14. RHR Smith has now been with us, Ron, I think this is a fourth audit, maybe?
Third or fourth.
third or fourth audit they've done with us. Ron's team, as part of this audit, does multiple visits to the district as they look to pull items to do tests to make sure that we are being fiscally responsible with everything from student activity accounts to things that are within the general budget, as well as our federal grants. And then also the additional part, which has been all of the relief money that districts have received, and making sure that we're correctly contemplating how we're spending that, and that we are doing everything we can to be as public with things and to make sure that we're following all generally acceptable accounting principles. So the team has been working diligently, actually since June, I think, with some of the initial payroll pieces, and then working throughout the fall. And even as of this week, still buttoning up some pieces within the audit. Just before Ron gets started, also just want to say a big thank you to Stacy Webster, who in our business office does the Herculean task of organizing all of our documents and also working with all of our building treasurers to make sure that our student activity accounts, all of our banking's done correctly, and does a huge amount of work behind the scenes to keep us as fiscally sound and making sure that we're following everything that we need to do. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ron, who's going to give us an overview of the audit and just where we are right now with the fiscal health of RSU 14.
Good evening. I'm Ron Smith, principal with RHR Smith & Company. Thanks for the introduction, Chris. I work with 61 other professionals. We audit over half the school systems in the entire state of Maine and 2/3 of all the municipalities in the state of Maine and 15 out of 16 counties, so we know who you are and what's going on out there. Financially, I think your fiscal health is good. So I'm just going to define what good is. Last year, your total fund balance was about $11 million. This year, you land at about $10.9 million, of which you got about $4.5 million, I think, set away for capital renovations. I believe it was like, what, 1.2 million-ish used for tax reduction for your 24 budget, which leaves you with about $5. My tablet broke on the way and a battery died, so I'm using my cell phone, but I know it by heart. But it leaves you about a little over $5.1 million of unassigned, which is a little less, about $150,000 less to where you landed last year. So I'd say overall, with a $55 million plus budget, I think that you guys are financially right where you expected to be, and certainly I think for a district of your size, right within certainly the sweet spot, of financial beings for those districts. But you need to be. You got a lot going on here. And, with the big renovation projects and all that. And I think that this district certainly has prepared itself for these days, to renovate and construct by, being prudent and putting some money away for capital, projects, certainly with the middle school renovation going on. This is a busy district. One of the other things that we did this year is because you spend more than $750,000 of the U.S. federal government's money passed through our state of Maine, the program that we had to test this year was ESSER. And statewide, we actually just met with the Department of Education finance team about 3 weeks ago before Christmas. And the problem is this state, with all the ESSER funds, they weren't really prepared, for lack of a better word, to meet the federal best practices with compliance with like procurement and things like that. You've got 2 vendors we're still hounding and have been for over 2 months for one of your projects, that you have for one of the, for renovation and some projects that they did. They have yet to provide us. One of them was supposed to do it by the end of the day today. I don't know if that actually happened or not. The other one we've been unsuccessful in doing, and we'll continue to hound them until they provide us. But that's been probably the biggest delay that we've seen with all of our audits, municipal and counties and schools, is the chasing, of information with the way the federal government money is being spent. And the vendors were ill-equipped, and the state really didn't, up until last fall, do a lot of training, out there on, how to be in best compliance, for lack of a better word, with these COVID funds, as Chris said. And, And I know that when we met with them, that there's a very conscious effort right now and has been in a movement that we'll look forward to working with them and doing some future trainings with all the vendors and school systems on this. And the vendors, I think, need to understand that there's a lot of responsibility and certainly a lot of compliance that goes when they decide to, receive federal funds for the projects that you guys have secured them for. So that's probably been the biggest, delay. Stacy does a good job with your books. She does. So, I mean, all these conversations don't roll this way. We've got school systems that are 2 years behind, 3 years behind in some of their audits. The state, I believe, as of 3 weeks ago, said that there was more than 50 school systems that still didn't submit their 22 audit yet. So you're not one of those school systems. That ought to tell you right there that you certainly understand your business and are able to provide us so we can submit by March 31st as a deadline, for the submission of your audit. But submit usually as we speak, by December 31st, and sitting here and have this conversation with you, your current financial audit. So it doesn't roll this way, a lot of the times. And I know that there's a lot of concerns where the state, is really struggling, to try to help these school systems get caught up fiscally. And as I say, kudos to you. You're not one of those. Kudos to Stacy. Stacy, she's good to work with, and she understands her business too. So when you're managing millions of dollars of federal funds out there at a $55 million plus budget, that says a lot. So, but I'm here to answer any questions you guys all may have of me, the process, and what else is going on outside the state, inside this state, as it may pertain to you all. So,
Just want to underscore something that Ron said, which is we are still waiting on 2 vendors. And specifically what we're waiting on is called a payroll certification form. And anytime that you're a vendor and you accept federal dollars and you're paying your employees and you have more than one employee, you need to fill out one of these forms. And one of those vendors is Central Maine Power. And it was for the transformer work to upgrade Raymond Elementary School's 3-phase power to bring it up the hill. It has been extremely difficult to get any sort of communication from Central Maine Power and to have them even understand the component of what we're looking for. So we have been hounding them. I say we, I started on the chase only this week. Stacy's been hounding them for a while. We'll continue to work on that. The other vendor will get us our forms that we need. It was a new process for them, but they've been great to work with, and so we'll be able to take care of that. Just also want to underscore, overall fund balance from this past budget was roughly 1.1 million.
correct.
And if you remember from budget last year, you as a board pledged 1.2 million in revenue from carry forward in order to be able to reduce taxation for this budget. So if you put 1.2 million forward and you only have 1 million left, you then drop your fund balance by 100,000.
And that's what happened.
Yep. And I think it's important for the public also to understand that 1.1 million is a lot of money, absolutely. In the operations of a school district, it's roughly about 2%. And so it's about 9 days of operations for RSU 14. So to be able to then look at our budget of a $55 million budget and have roughly 2.5%, 2% left over, it just shows that this board has been budgeting accurately and making sure that what dollars you do receive from the public, that you're putting it to the places that you said that you would, but that we are retaining a budget in which basically it's a needs-based budget.
Yep.
And trying to meet what our financial responsibilities are.
And based on half the school systems, believe it, that's like average, compared to you're right in where, other school systems, of your size are, so like I say, it's not certainly out of the abnormal. We see some people less, if you see some people more, but I think when you rate you guys, compared to other school systems of your size, you're right there with them. But I think the thing that separates this school system, you guys knew you had some big renovations coming up in construction projects, and you put some money away for that. A lot of school systems don't do that. They go borrow the full max on that. And certainly, obviously, that'll happen. But, but as far as, just the overall, I mean, you were able to take the public's money and be able to seed some of these major renovations that you got. And as Chris said, it's Davis-Bacon Act, which is referred to. And, and within the compliance supplement, as we test these COVID funds and any other federal funds, Title I, special education, food service. They give us a compliance supplement to go by. And one of them was Davis Bacon, and we are just struggling with Central Maine Power to educate them and, get the information out of them. But we fully expect that will happen. So, and I think as a result of that, I think facilities might have been, depending on where this lands with some of these conversations, that Stacy and Chris will bring together to you maybe a resolution, which you have statutory power to. Your budget was way underspent this year, as Chris just said, $1.2 million. So, but I think facilities at the end of the day may land on, depending on this information, might be a little overspent, so you might have to make a transfer. And I'm almost thinking you did last year.
We've actually already covered it at the budget meeting.
That's right. Yeah, I remember
May.
Stacy saying that.
Yep, it's already been done.
Yeah. So.
Questions? Go ahead, Jody.
So this is more just to make sure we're going to get, I have another opportunity to meet with their team to have a presentation in the full report to show that everything's been presented fairly.
So we will have a full report. We just right now we have the draft. The finalized one won't be, the audit won't be officially closed until we know whether or not we're going to get those forms.
Okay.
But then the finance team will have the opportunity to pour through that, whether or not we then want to do a full presentation for the board prior to the budget without the auditors, because there won't be any new information that they would be sharing. But we'd be able to present that information to the full board. But first starting with finance to be able to pour through the larger budget the larger audit document.
And we're more than happy to come to any meeting, but like I say, it's, you've had a draft, there is a draft, that's why I'm able to sit here with confidence and go over the math. Sadly, we're waiting on some further information to finalize this document, but I'm more than happy, if there needs to be a future meeting, more than happy to attend.
I think it's valuable. I mean, certainly the PowerPoint doesn't capture the full report, but there's a few, newer people. This would be the second time. It's kind of complex. I don't want to eat up time in our meetings unless everybody, does everyone want to see it? It's not like we're going to read this in a PDF, sorry, but we're not. So it's nice to have this summarized. I did, but it's nice to have it summarized, and it's nice. It doesn't take a long time. That presentation was only like 13 minutes from last year. So if we can squeeze it in, I think it would be valuable once it's done. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anyone else? All right, thank you very much.
Been a great pleasure. Everybody have a good evening.
All right, moving on to Wyndham High School new courses of study fall 2024. May I have a motion, please?
I move to accept the following new course offerings at Wyndham High School for the fall of 2024. Environmental Science in the Science Department for grades 11 and 12 for a full year, 1 credit. World Geography under World History or electives, grades 9 through 12, and a semester course, so 1/2 credit. Culture, Cuisine, and Cinema of the Romance Language World under the electives, grades 9 through 12, and a semester for a 1/2 credit.
Second.
Thank you. Public comment on the motion? Board discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 12, may I have a motion, please?
I'll do it. I move to enter into executive session to discuss RSU 14 contract negotiations with the RSU 14 Board of Directors pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056D and not return to regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Good night.